Hey everybody, welcome to episode 2. This week we've got Helen Dubois. She's from the Hacienda in Hanmer, Ontario, a very popular place that we constantly work at. She's been very popular by demand through the wedding vendor sites. I've noticed there's a lot of questions about the Hacienda, so we hope we can answer a lot of them for you guys today, and we hope that Helen's going to be able to. She actually went into detail about a lot of the intricacies of planning your day there and what it's like to actually be there the day before. And you'll notice a few things that we didn't even really realize about the place. And yeah, Helen's just a great girl, and we feel really privileged to have been able to talk to her and maybe bring you guys a little bit of value when it comes to planning your COVID wedding. So here's to another week. Let's get into the episode. That's our new thing. Cool.
Morning. This morning we have Helen from the Hacienda here in Hanmer, Ontario. Good morning, Helen.
Good morning, Shauna and Christian.
You were asked for a lot. It was like a popular demand guest. Everybody keeps asking about the Hacienda, so you were a hot item this week.
Have you found a difference between like COVID weddings and regular weddings?
Yes, it seemed to have exploded during COVID because people were looking for alternatives, right? And where we offer the weddings outside in the backyard, people were drawn to that because of the whole COVID, and a lot of places were shut down.
Do you have a lot of winter weddings as well? Like I noticed like a couple of weeks ago, like, you know, just a couple of people like right where you're sitting right now, like, you know, someone had gotten married right there compared to like the summer weddings.
So we have 3 weddings booked for this winter. So we had one last month, like you said. They're very small, intimate. So right now during the lockdown, we're allowed to have up to 10 people, including the wedding officiant, inside for a wedding. So we've had a couple that remarried after 30 years of, you know, they decided to get remarried last, I think a couple of weeks ago. And we have 2 more in February, again, small, intimate weddings. So they're coming here with the officiant, probably just a few witnesses, and they get to spend the night afterwards here. And I cook them up dinner and I cook them up breakfast. So it's turning into the thing right now.
I bet. I absolutely love the Hacienda. I truly do. Like the first time that I went in there a couple of years ago, when I walked in, I felt like I was like, I hope this is not an insult, but I felt like I was like in Mexico or in Dominican, like just like the way like your floors are and your decor and
Even the outside.
oh, it's breathtaking.
The house was built in 1974 with definitely a Mexican theme to it. So the original owners who built the house, you know, had a love of Mexico. And so they imported the tiles from Mexico. They, the statue behind me right now, which is the Mayan god of prosperity, you will find the exact replica in the Mexico City Museum. So the wrought iron, the woodwork, the sculptures all around, I don't know if you can see, but all around the atrium here, there is Mayan sculptures. So they definitely thought of a lot of intricacies to bring in to make it feel a lot like Mexico.
So do you run the business by yourself or do you run it with your family?
No, it's all me. They help me a lot, trust me. But they all have their own, my husband has a full-time job, so he's doing his own thing. We have my niece that lives with me, so she definitely helps me behind the scenes. So, you know, when we're flipping over rooms or cleaning up after the guests have left, she definitely pulls her weight. My husband helps me on the weekends when we're doing the weddings. I definitely don't think I could manage doing the big weddings the whole weekend without his help.
That's so sweet. I love it when we hear about husband-wife couples doing work together. It hits home. I had a question for you. What's the booking process look like? Assuming Shauna and I were, you know, inquiring with you, theoretically speaking right now, about getting a wedding booked with you guys, hypothetically, because obviously we don't know what the regulations are going to be when things kind of lift, and you know, it changes, it seems like every other month. So what would that look like? What would you need from us, and what would we want to look for from you?
So the first thing that we do is people usually reach out to me either by, you know, they'll leave me a message or they'll send me an email saying that, you know, they're interested in having a wedding and, you know, what's the process. The first thing that I like to do is invite them to come for a tour. That way I get to meet the couple figure out, we get to chit chat, to talk. I get to get more information from them about, what size of wedding, what type of wedding, what theme of wedding, how big, how small, what they're trying to do. It allows me to show them the venue. So then we kind of like go through the whole day of, or the weekend of, so I'll kind of walk them through and, from the Friday when they arrive to the Sunday when they leave, the process of what happens, what we include, what we, include in our package. So then we get to have a little like talk, and they get to see the place. Then we talk about what the package entails. So during COVID, or when COVID kind of started happening, we looked at the way we did weddings here at the Hacienda, because we were having big weddings, and it was a lot of work and a lot of time, and not really where we wanted to go, kind of thing. So when COVID hit, it allowed us the opportunity to kind of relook at the way we do things here at the Hacienda. And we kind of came up with a package for 50 people and under. So that was the group that we were most comfortable with having on our property, manageable, and it allowed for a more small, intimate wedding. So that's where we landed with the package itself. So now when the guests have decided, okay, they've come for a tour, they've looked at it, they've talked, they've figured out, I give them the package of the lists, everything that includes in the package. They kind of go away, they talk about it. Then they usually reach back out to me and call me and say, yay or nay kind of thing. So if it's yes, then we start the whole paperwork, contract, stuff like that.
You really answered a lot of our questions that I had listed.
Yeah. No, it's good. It seems like an easy process. I think that's what everybody wants, because from the feedback we've been getting is planning during COVID is literally the worst thing ever for a lot of these brides. They're having like just a terrible time. It's not an enjoyable process, and it should be. It's unfortunate that it's taken that turn, but hopefully we'll alleviate some of that with all of this podcast. One last thing from my end. Shauna's probably got a ton of questions, but just something that pops off in my head. It's really interesting to me to see all these unique weddings coming out of nowhere. Shauna and I went to Killarney and climbed the top of, I think it's called the Crack.
The Crack.
The trail we went to. Yeah. We climbed to the top of that thing. We had never fully been to the top before, but we went all the way to the top, all of our gear, and ankle rolls and all. But I mean,
that was heroic.
But it was rock climbing. It was so, and we got up there. We were so astounded on the beauty of it, and we got out of there. We were so excited, but we both looked at each other like never again until we got home. But I think it's just because we were so tired, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this was one of those things where the couple asked us to leave our house at 2:30 a.m. We got there for 5 a.m. Started walking in the dark so that we could get that kind of sunrise feel. So, it was very unique. And I thought afterwards, I'm like, when would we have ever experienced something like that? Had it not been for COVID, this couple was planning on doing the regular traditional wedding. So, we've seen a lot of uniqueness. Have you guys seen anything, out of the ordinary or unique?
I think it's just amazing when I see the couples, because every couple is very different, and what they want for their wedding day is very different. And it's amazing to see it through different eyes and watch, each couple kind of bring to the table of, their perfect day kind of thing. And it allows me, in watching each couple, to then bring that to the next couple. To be like, hey, did you think about this? Or the last couple, they did, we have as an example, we have a fireplace outside in the backyard, right by the tent. And some couples want the fire, some couples don't. But, some couples, they really dressed it up. They made the fire part of their wedding, where they had like a little s'mores display kind of thing with crates and candles and chocolates and all packaged up. And it just, you don't think about the little things like that. So I'm able to then, share the experience from the last couple to the next couple and kind of bring it forward and, make sure that they've thought about all different things kind of thing.
Cool.
So is the tent included?
Yes. So the tent's included in our package.
That is amazing. I know, just to rent the tent itself, it's like a couple of $1,000s. So that's amazing.
So our package includes a lot of things, from the tent, the tables, the chairs, the bar set up for the bartender, the linen for the bar, the extenders for the bar, the porta potties. So we have white wedding porta potties that we bring on on our site, and they stay here for the summer, and we kind of have them cleaned after each and every wedding. But we do like the coolers for the drinks, the ice for the weekend, the generator, the lights in the tent, whatever you can think of that we just added. It's funny because I think one of my last weddings, they had the big love marquee signs, the electrical lit up kind of thing. So I ended up buying them from them. So now we kind of threw it in our package so that, the next guest this year will get to use those lights. It also allowed us with all these weddings too, because, at the beginning, we never thought we were going to be a wedding venue. I was running this as a bed and breakfast for couples like yourself that just want to get away from the norm, have a place to come to, enjoy the beauty of the house, the intimacy of the house, in the yard and all the amenities kind of thing. And so that's what I kind of thought that we were going with, is giving a place to people locally that they can just come to and didn't have to drive 4 hours to have like a resort feel. And through all of this, with all the weddings coming up and stuff like that, we had bachelorette parties, we had family reunions, we had girls' weekends. But it allowed me to expand my network, to meeting all the photographers and videographers like yourselves, the florists, the caterers, the decorators, the planners, the tent people, the rentals, I have a porta potty guy now. It's like, I got a guy.
I got a guy. I love it. There's an app for that. No, yeah, I totally get where you're feeling on that too, because I got a guy now too, which is totally weird. We hired my godson who does some second shooting for us because I need a second shooter sometimes. We've had people inquire about that, and it's cool to have a guy. That's so awesome. What's the damage report whenever you're dealing with clients who've already maybe booked and are stressed out about the regulations kind of maybe hindering what they had planned?
So we had a wedding, in process going last summer, where they made an announcement like at noon on Saturday that they were cutting the amount of people, in outdoor weddings. And my poor bride and groom were just beside themselves. And, we got on the phone. We were trying to get as much information. We called the bylaw office. We called Sudbury Tourism. We called the police station. We had the groom even contact, Ford's office, trying to get information. So, we have to abide by, whatever information comes down, right? So first and foremost, safety is our first priority, to make sure the guests are safe. And so what we've done is, right now, hopefully, it stays the same as last year, is that we're allowed to have about 100 people outside for an outdoor wedding. And we've kind of cut that in half to try to make sure that, we kind of stay within the lines. We've cut it down to 50. Some of our weddings, up to 70 people, whatever, but we're trying to remain as close to 50 as possible to, in case there is another, close down, we're still going to be okay, hopefully. If things change, we're definitely here to work with the bride and groom. I'm willing to give back deposits if we just cannot have them, kind of thing. But we're hoping that we can rebook or reschedule another date, another time, or stuff like that,
How about you, Shauna? What does it look like for us? If someone wants to reschedule, but they've already booked with us, they've paid their retainer. I know I might be saying it wrong when I say retainer. I know everybody's got a different word for it.
No, it's the retainer. So retainer is to retain our services for those days or for that day. And then we just transfer it to another day that we're available. Unfortunately, like if we're not available on that day, like we've never had, knock on wood, somewhere. Yeah. But to just transfer that deposit, the retainer, to another day that we are available, and hopefully, the venue, the DJ, the florist, the decorator, everyone is available on that day so that we can all work together again. I'm so glad, it's funny how you said that, that announcement that had went out, because we were on the island when that announcement went out, and I was like, oh no, they're literally we're on our way to the ceremony for them to get married. And I was beeping bricks at the moment. I had to I looked at Christian and I'm like, something's going on. He's like, what's the matter? The grandfather was beside me. He had heard me. My assistant had called me saying Ford just made this announcement. So then I went inside the house and I pulled the mom of the bride out and I told her, and she goes, "This is happening. Like, like, what do we do?" So then we all had to go on the phone, and like, because we were a supervised venue, everything was okay. And we actually only had 27 people at, like, including ourselves, it was 27 people at the venue. And then a few people didn't show up. So we were actually underneath the 25. So we were good. But like, holy moly, like, that's scary. Like, why would you make an announcement? Like, people get married on Saturdays.
They're already stressed enough. The poor bride and groom are stressed enough. It's like 2 hours before they're about to walk down the aisle. We had our groom walking around the property just, like, like this. And so our job is to make sure, we got this. We're going to figure it out. We got this. We don't want anything to go wrong on their day. So.
Right.
Yeah. Our biggest thing is never to tell the bride anything wrong.
It's stressful on its own, like it really is. So you want to make sure that everything runs smoothly. So.
Yeah. Now, something I was going to ask you about, I noticed with some of our couples, they really don't want the masks in any of the shots. They want to avoid the masks. They don't want to remember this pandemic at all. They want to just forget about it like it didn't exist. And then we have other couples that are very accommodating to it. And they actually want you to include some shots because some people have been clever enough to get cute masks, appropriate masks for the wedding. And they want to remember those cute little moments, but not, focus around the masks. So have you guys heard any requests like that? Like, do you hear a lot of like wedding planners or anybody making requests? Like, can we try to avoid?
So we make the request because we're a facility. So we want to make sure. So hand sanitizers everywhere and masks are available for the guests. So a lot of brides, they've thought about this. They've tried to, make sure that they follow all the rules and regulations kind of thing. So a lot of them will, in doing the ceremony, will set the chairs up in groups. So, as in the bubbles, right? So there's 5 chairs. That 5 chairs at the ceremony is going to a table, the 5 of them inside. So that they sometimes won't wear the masks, but they'll kind of create their bubbles of the people that kind of are supposed to be together. We ask that, when they're in close proximity, to wear the masks. If they're out walking around the yard, that they can take the masks off. But, it's for their own safety that we ask for them to protect themselves, So if they want to take pictures without the masks, we're okay with that. But, at the end of the day, I can only, enforce what I can enforce.
Of course. I really like that idea, though. I've never heard of that yet with the bubbles, where you're putting groups of chairs here, a group of chairs here. It's almost like being in the, I'm so French, but when you're doing the reception, usually that's how they're grouped anyways. Why not group them ahead of time and put them separate from each other? If they're going to be sitting together anyways and they're all a family, it does make sense.
I really did like the fact, like, I know Christine and Taylor did it, not to keep mentioning them, but they were our last wedding with the Hacienda. So, and it was like the layout, and I thought it was beautiful. Like, when she was walking down, like, it was like your acres of everything there is flawless. It truly, truly is. Now, we did have another question from someone. Is the arch included?
Yes. So we have a white arch. I think the one Christine used was the white arch. So we have that one. That one is a permanent structure, right? It's a swing that we remove the swing and it becomes the arch, and they can decorate it the way they want. We've had other guests, bride and grooms, bring their own arches. One had a very rustic theme, and they had an arch made out of bouleau, birch. Yeah. There was my French. So they had brought their own arch and set it up, kind of thing. And then we had one bride and groom, they got married in October, and they left me their arch because they wanted to get married in front of the pond. And so they had constructed an arch and they left it behind when, they kind of gave it to the Hacienda. So now we have that we can offer to our other guests now. So because everyone, watching them get married, not everybody wants to walk down the grass. They want to be by the pond, especially in the summertime when the pond has got these beautiful lilies coming out of it and it's serene around the pond. That's where most of the bride and grooms want to get married, is in front of that pond.
So I noticed on your website and on your Facebook, actually, is that there's people skating. Is that on the pond?
Yes. So in the wintertime, and so this is where my husband Mark comes in. So he spends a lot of time out there flooding that pond and scraping it and shoveling it and leveling it and whatnot. That's his little passion that he loves to do. And this year he ended up finding some curling rocks online from North Bay. So we got these, I think the company is called Grandpa's Workshop. So we bought 8 curling rocks from him, and Mark made a curling rink on our pond. So he painted the circles, and we got some brooms, and we had guests just this weekend. They were out there for, I don't know, like 2-3 hours curling.
That is so cool. It's so ironic that you say this because my uncle had these same junior curling rocks. I'm a big avid curler. I actually coach curling at the Capriel curling rink for youth. So I put a rink in the backyard as we've got 4 kids as well. I got curling rocks and I just painted the curling things. So we're doing the same thing you're doing.
Perfect.
And I would love to go check this out. I got to go peek out and see what you guys put together.
Come anytime. I'll show you. Yeah.
So cool.
Oh, that is awesome. I think that's just amazing.
It's so funny because not everybody skates, but you know what? Anybody can curl. So we've had bookings because they've seen my post about the curling rink. And so they, the first question they're asking me is, can we curl? I'm like, yes, you can curl. And Mark put up floodlights around the pond. And so we can even curl at night, so.
That's so cool.
It's been great.
You actually bring up a good question. In my mind, I've got an anniversary to fill coming up. And I'm always looking for ideas. So the Hacienda might be one of those places where I can bring the wife and make her real happy for a day or two, right? How would that work with booking? I would call you as well. And if so, what number and what's the name of the website and how can I reach you online through social media or anything like that?
So we have multiple venues. So you can people call me. So 705-929-2941 is my phone number directly to me. You can leave me a voicemail. I'll get back to you. We have a website. So info at the Hacienda Bed and Breakfast.ca. It's so big, I know. There you go. We have a Facebook page. So people can find me on Facebook. And we also have an Instagram account also where you can, I think our hashtag is like the Hacienda B&B. And so we try to post regularly on any of those venues kind of thing. So mostly people will pick up the phone, will call me, tell me what they're doing. We've had a lot of people doing 1-year anniversary, 2, 3, 4, 5. Since we've opened, we had a couple that have celebrated every anniversary here since they got married. So that's been great. And we put them in the King Room, and some of them, during COVID, we've had a lot of people ask for dinners. So we've been making dinners for the couple that are staying here. So they can have some of them have had it in their room. Some of them will sit at the dining room. So we've made dinner for them. So they don't have to leave. They open up a bottle of wine. They have all the amenities here, from the robes to take a sauna to the ice buckets in their room. We put fresh flowers in their room. We'll do whatever, working with the couple who's booking, to make sure that it's exactly what they're looking for. And,
Well, I'm all giddy right now because our first anniversary is coming up in a couple of weeks. Okay, so Helen, I just want to thank you so much for being a part of our podcast and for taking the time out of your day and, sharing how the Hacienda works. And I cannot wait I know we have another wedding with you this summer and we cannot wait to be back.
Fantastic.
Maybe an anniversary booking.
Right?
Curling, maybe curling.
Skating?
Yeah, skating. No, skating and wine.
Wine,
yeah,
that big
curling.
bathtub.
Not curling.
I was just talking to Christine and Taylor. I'm like, which room did you stay in? And they're like, the King Suite. I'm like, the one with the bathtub? I'm like, I cannot.
Yeah.
Like, every time I go in there and it's just like, your place is just phenomenal. I cannot believe that a place like this that looks like it's part of Mexico that is in Northern Ontario. I
had a lot of help with the decor because I am, that's not my forte. I'm not an interior decorator by any means. I love to bake. I love to cook. I love to, host guests. But for, when it comes to the decor, I hired a local girl here that we ended up going to high school with, Laura's Interiors. And let me tell you, she's the one who turned this into what it is today. She had the vision of the way the Hacienda was back in the day, because we all grew up with the Hacienda, knowing of it. And so she definitely, knew the right pieces to bring in and to make it to what it is. So thankfully, I had her in my back pocket.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay, so we will see you this summer, maybe
Perfect.
in a couple of weeks. And thank you so much.
Thanks, Ellen.
Thanks so much, guys. Take care.
You're welcome.